G'day from the sunny coast. Welcome to Tuesday Truth Bombs. I was doing this deep meditation and it was like literally showing me one of the big things that we see as out of alignment, out of integrity that happens constantly in our industry. What showed me was this intellectualizing versus embodiment. There needs to be a balance, right? We can't just be completely embodying the work. There is an element of learning and exploring and having information come to us. But I feel like something that has really been lost is that what we need to do is that we learn and then we do and then we teach. As we're learning, we're doing, so we're embodying those practices, those modalities, the information that we're learning. Oh, we're learning about how to do sound healing. We're doing sound healing, and then we're teaching sound healing or facilitating sound healing. We're learning breath work. We're doing breath work, experiencing breath work, and then we're facilitating and teaching breath work. I think a lot of time, and this happens in most educational systems, is there's an intellectualizing of information. Information is questionable, always. Any information is questionable. Why is it questionable? Who created the information, right? You might learn certain things about breath work, but until you have your own experience with breath work and you really sit in that energy, then you have a lived experience and an embodied experience. And so I keep telling our students and the people who come to our events that the only real outcomes that you can prove are lived experiences. And that's with sound healing, with breath work, with any of these modalities. So unless it's an embodied and lived experience, then you're just regurgitating information. Why is this so important? Because if you're going to learn something like breath work, then as far as I'm concerned, you need to do a lot of breath work, having your own experience, because every breath work is different. So many different things can happen from the physical realm, the mental realm, the emotional realm, the spiritual realm. Sometimes they're all intermingled. And then the outcomes after that and the integration can last for a long time. So there's all of these different varying circumstances and outcomes that you have from doing the work. That is a foundation of lived experience to then offer people, whether you're actually running a breathwork event or whether you're actually in the future teaching, right? So embodiment is key. Embodiment really is key. A lot of times we see people go from learning to all of a sudden facilitating and teaching. You know, that to me is an out of integrity. And that's why I hear a lot of people talking about the people that are the facilitators who've been hosting the event or running the event they're at is inefficiently or unable to hold space, a safe, grounded space, which is absolutely critical. I know my sister had a very intense experience where she felt cracked open and had a lot of aftermath to the point where she didn't even like breath work. So it's so important when you're learning breath work, firstly, how you learn it, then how you do it for yourself, having that lived and embodied experience, which is why we do a 6-month breathwork and sound healing facilitation program. 6 months. In 6 months, if you do what we're suggesting, that's a breathwork session per week. That's 26 sessions. If you're also doing one at each face-to-face training, that's another 6. That's 32 breathwork and sound healings at the end of 6 months. That's starting to build a foundation. That's a start. If you learn breathwork in a week, if you go to a retreat and you have a full 7-day retreat and you learn breathwork, how many sessions would you have done? Maximum. If you did it every single day, which we don't recommend anyway, you would have 7. So you've learned breathwork, you've done 7 sessions, and now you're a breathwork facilitator? I'm sorry, but to me, that is not a foundation that is strong and deep, and that is out of integrity. So when I did my breathwork and sound healing training, it was 6 months. I did a breathwork session at least once a week. By the end of that course, I had done well over 30 breathwork sessions myself. I've continued that practice since that time. I'm well over probably 400 breathwork sessions myself. I've had so many of my own experiences in all sorts of places, at outdoors, indoors, Uluru, at conferences, at events, and that's not even the actual sound healing events that I've run. So embodiment versus intellectualizing is a huge, huge issue. And while breath work and sound healing is kind of has a trend aspect to it, really the people who are holding that embodied space from their own foundation of the practice are the people that you want to go to see. They're the people you want to learn from. They're the people who you want to go to their events. And you can't do that with hundreds of people. You want to have smaller and more intimate spaces where you can hold a safe container. So embodiment is key. Intellectualizing is a part of it. The mind has a part to play in learning, but embodiment is huge. And if that's a missing, then I'm sorry, but I am calling bullshit.